All right, there I am. Oh wow, that's a dark background for me. I don't know, I don't know if what color is that? Is it grayish? Some kind of grayish blue kind of color. Hi everybody, good to see you. It's been a while. It's been a long time. We had a bit of a week off last week because I was feeling a little bit under the weather. All right. But I'm feeling better now. I'm not 100%. I wouldn't say I'm 100% today, but I'm not intensely ill or anything. CF Teaching's there. Hi, Rosa's there. Lots of people. Gudrea, Zainab. Who else is in the chat here? You guys heard me sigh? I always I always start the class with a big deep sigh before before I get started. Navjot Singh, hello. How are you? All right. Cool, yeah, lots of people. Steve Lynn's there. Nice. So yeah, sorry I had to cancel class last week. I was a little bit sick, but I'm looking forward to class today. So Ravi's there. Hi. Lots of people. Shamim. Melena. Cool. All right. So anybody who's new, if this is your first time, my name is Shaun, and I'll be your teacher for the next hour or so, okay? Good to see you too, guys. Good to see you too. And if anybody else is new, then I'll introduce Zach, who is our friendly moderator. He's in the chat, and he will help you out. If you have questions during the class, yeah, put them in the chat. Questions, comments, concerns about anything at all, about the lesson, about English, about life. Put your questions in the chat, and Zach will, he'll either answer your questions or he'll get them to me, and we'll try to answer your questions as quickly and as best as we can, okay? Yeah, I'm trying to just release some stress with a nice sigh before the class, right? Yeah, and a couple tears, too. All right. Navjot, this is your first time. Well, welcome to the live stream. Welcome to our crazy little global classroom here, yeah? Okay, so yeah, I'm Shaun, as many of you know because you've been here before. We got lots of familiar names and faces in the chat. And I'm coming to you live from Vancouver, BC, Canada, at the Canadian College of English Language in Vancouver from our studio here. Coming at you every Thursday at this time. 9 o'clock in the morning for me. I don't know what time it is where you are or what day it is or maybe even what year it is. Who knows? Who knows when you're watching this? But everyone is welcome. All right, Jose is there too. All right, you guys ready? I'm ready. I'll try not to cough on you guys. I'll do my best. Okay, so let's jump into the lesson here. Let's get started. 11 o'clock in Vietnam, is it? Yeah. Oh yeah, a few people there from Vietnam. Cool. All right. Well, let's get rocking and rolling here, guys. Let me jump into the lesson. There I am. Okay. So today's class, and this was going to be our class last week. This is probably going to be about a two-part lesson here. We're going to start it today, and we're probably going to finish it next week. Jess from Colombia is here. 11 o'clock in the morning. Jose is 11 too. Yeah, it's a good time for class. Right? You guys have lots of time to wake up. It's 9. I'm woken up, but I still need a little bit of coffee. Keep me going. Okay. So, on this relaxing, nice, peaceful Vancouver morning, we're going to start with kind of the word of the day, okay? The word of the day, what we're talking about today is the word intense, okay? Intense is an adjective. What does intense mean? Well, intense it's a good word to know and to use because it can be used in many different situations to describe many different things. 7 p.m. in Saudi Arabia, yeah? Abdelaziz. Ashish, lots of people there. Cool. Yeah, there's lots of. It looks like there's some new names in the chat here too. Cool. All right. So intense. Last week my cold was pretty intense. That's why I had to cancel school. So intense means strong, right? It means extreme or passionate. Do you know is saying war is intense. Yes, absolutely, war is intense. Lots of things can be described as intense, even though those things are very different, right? I mean, you can say Flavor can be intense, right? If you're saying like these, well, spicy chicken wings, spicy food can be intense, meaning very strong, a very strong taste, right? Experience can be intense. And it can be, thing about intense is it can be good or bad. I mean, intense, obviously this jumping out of an airplane is intense, means it's a very strong feeling that you get, an extreme experience when you're, I assume, I've never done this, but when you're jumping out of an airplane, okay? An intense experience can be good or bad. If you're chased by a bear in the woods, for example, that could be intense as well. People can be intense. A test can be intense, absolutely. Feelings can be intense. People can be intense. This guy seems very intense, right? But you guys are right. Somebody who said feelings? Do you know said intense feelings? Feelings can be intense. Love can be intense. Hate can be intense. Very strong, right? Passionate feelings. Music, look. Music can be intense. This music, obviously we can't hear it, but it seems like this guy and his music are intense, right? So why are we talking about that? Work can be intense, absolutely. You can have an intense day or an intense job, right? Like what kind of jobs are intense? Air traffic control probably is an intense job. Thanks, Melina, for that. Teaching online is intense. Teaching online can be really intense, yeah? I don't know. Maybe, it could be. It could be. Hater, that's a good one. All right. So intense is an adjective, as we said. And a few weeks ago, we talked about, probably maybe more like a month ago, we talked about word formation and word families and how every adjective may have different word forms in the same family. So intense is an adjective, the adverb being intensely, right? The noun intensity is a good one to know, and the verb intensify. Ashish is saying passion can be intense, absolutely. Robbery can be intense. Wow, all of these are great examples of intense. That's good. So the last one here, intensify, is the verb. And that's kind of where this class is leading, right? Because today, our class is going to be all about what we call in English intensifiers. Okay, so if you go back to intensify as a verb, that verb intensify means to make something intense, right? To make something intense is to intensify, okay? So today we're going to be talking about words in English that make other words or other parts of the sentence more intense, stronger, more extreme, more passionate, okay? So as I said, today is going to be probably the first of two classes we're going to spend on intensifying and on emphasizing in class, okay? And it's, Zach says passion fruit can be intense. Yeah, I guess so. That's a good one. So let's talk about intensifiers. What are intensifiers? Now the thing about this lesson too is that we're really putting together a lot of stuff that we've studied in other classes, okay? So quite a while ago now, we did a class on modifiers, meaning adjectives or adverbs or phrases or clauses that we use to describe or give more information about other parts of the sentence, other words, right? So adjectives and adverbs are called modifiers, okay? Because they describe or they modify, they change another word or part of a sentence, okay? So intensifiers are modifiers. But the thing about intensifiers is these words, most of them are adverbs, by the way. Intensifiers are usually adverbs, but they can be adjectives as well. Now, intensifiers, they don't really affect the meaning of a word, okay? They don't change the meaning of the word itself. They just enhance it. They make the meaning stronger. They give emphasis to it. Sometimes they give emotion or an emotional context, we say, to the word. Ravi's saying, does intensify have a connotation of harsh? Not necessarily, Ravi. I mean, it could be connected to being harsh, but it doesn't have to be, right? Because again, intensify could be, it could be a good thing as well. It's just making something stronger. So if it's a bad thing and you make it stronger, it becomes really bad, right? But if it's a good thing and you make it stronger, it's really good. So it really depends on the word you're using. But I'm glad that Ravi mentioned connotation, because I think we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But the word itself, intensify, I wouldn't say that that has a positive or negative connotation to it. Okay? Good question, Ravi. So, when we're talking about intensifiers, the ones that are most common, you guys probably know all of these words here, right? Like so, very, and really. These are the most common intensifiers, right? Rather, quite, too. These are intensifiers too. And then completely, absolutely, and totally. These are probably the most common intensifiers, but there is an endless list of intensifiers, of words that we use to make other words stronger. Okay, so we're going to start with the basics today, and later in class we're going to get a little bit more complex, and then next week we'll get even deeper into it. Okay. One thing too, another intensifier that isn't in the list, but it's a very common intensifier, is the word super, and we use it in conversation all the time. Like, today I'm super tired, right? Super tired. Not something that you would use in an essay, academic English or anything, right? But it's something we use in speech all the time. Honey Calra is here. The best teacher is here. Ooh, you're a little late, but better late than never. You haven't missed too much yet. All right. Super cool. CF Teaching says exactly. Super cool. Super tired. Super excited. I'm super excited to be here to teach you guys, right? Now again, super is an intensifier because it makes that word excited even stronger. Gudrea is saying pretty tired. Right. Pretty tired. Now, pretty is sometimes considered kind of like the opposite of the intensifier, and it kind of goes the other way, and it kind of tones something down. If you say, I'm pretty tired, pretty confident, but that's good, yeah, good. Super duper. You're super duper interested. Awesome, me too. All right, so as I was saying, those are the common intensifiers, right? These are the most common ones, like you say hot, this guy is really hot, right? He's clearly hot. You can say he's very hot. But as I said, there is this endless list of intensifiers that we can use, right? So rather than really or very, which is fine, lots of times you would say boiling hot. It is boiling hot in this room. It's smoking hot. Rosa has a question. In academic writing, is it better to replace words with intensifiers that have the same meaning? Yeah, I mean, one thing about academic writing is that, yeah, you don't want to use too many intensifiers. And I'll talk about that a little bit later too, is that you don't want to have just intensifier after intensifier in your writing. Everything is very or really. It can actually negatively affect your writing. He's a hot boy? Okay, he's a smoking hot boy. Stephen, freezing cold. I wouldn't say freezingly. Freezing cold, scorching hot. Yeah, you guys are on it. Good. So boiling hot. This is one that I like. Loud. So again, you can say really loud. You can say very loud. But again, getting back into what we were talking about with word formation. Check what I'm going to do here. You can say deafeningly loud. Deafeningly loud, right? Deaf meaning unable to hear. So deafening, and your intensifier is it was so loud that it made me deaf, basically. I couldn't hear the next day. Deafeningly loud. You're extremely motivated, Everton? Good to hear it. Ilias is late, but you're not extremely late, so don't worry about it. All right. All right, and then high. One more example of these intensifiers. Here's a good one. Astronomically high, right? So the whole point here is that you can use really, you can say very, that's fine. So high, super high. But we also have other very specific intensifiers that go together with adjectives, okay? Like astronomically high means very high. If you say, for example, the level of pollution in the air was astronomically high. All right. Is for real an intensifier? I wouldn't say for real's an intensifier. It's just more of a phrase. But it emphasizes. I would say it's an emphasizing phrase. It's a good one too, Navjot. All right, so basically when you're dealing with intensifiers, the first thing you need to know, if you don't know it yet, is that adjectives can be put into categories. Okay, when you take an adjective, you can really split adjectives into two categories, which are called gradable adjectives and non-gradable adjectives. And the non-gradable adjectives can be broken down into strong adjectives and absolute adjectives. Okay, so gradable and non-gradable, which are strong and absolute. So what does this mean? All right, what do these different adjectives mean? Well, let me show you. Okay, pizza. So a gradable adjective to describe this pizza would be good. Right? It's fine. Good is fine. Okay. So good is a gradable adjective because gradable means you can change the intensity of the adjective. You can make it stronger and you can make it weaker by adding different adverbs to it. Okay. So, for example, you can say very good. Something's good. Something's very good. Something's small. Something's really small. So words like good and small are gradable. They can go up and they can go down, okay? Because you can go kind of the other way and say it's kind of small, right? It's a little small. This slice of pizza, it's a little small for me. Yeah, I would prefer a bigger slice of pizza, right? Okay? Or pretty good, right? These words that you guys were talking about before. Ilias is saying it's perfectly sliced. It is, yeah. It's a model. It's probably not even real. It's probably plastic, right? This is Mark's favorite food, yeah? All right, so I don't know if that's vegetarian, though. So these are gradable adjectives. Adjectives like good, small, big, right? Gradable. The non-gradable adjectives, like a strong adjective, is a word like fantastic. If I say this pizza is fantastic, you call that a strong adjective, okay? Now it's a strong adjective because the word very is kind of already in the meaning of fantastic, right? Because fantastic means very good. So it's already strong. It already has that very meaning in it. And that's why you would consider it a strong adjective, okay? So good is gradable, strong or fantastic is strong. All right? And now the other form of non-gradable adjective would be what we call absolute. Now in this case, you can say this pizza is perfect. All right? And I think Ilias even said that, right? Or it's at least perfectly sliced. It's a perfect triangle, right? Now the word perfect is an absolute adjective because, hi Valerie, fantabulous, yeah, that's a good one. It's good to just make up words in English sometimes. Shakespeare did it, so you guys can do it too, right? So when we say absolute, it means it is or it isn't. There's no middle. You can't make it stronger or weaker. It's either perfect or it isn't perfect, right? So it's a little bit different from something like good, which can be very good or kind of good. So something cannot be very perfect. Okay, it's perfect or it isn't. Now, in my opinion, for whatever reason, today I'm saying that this pizza is perfect. It's the perfect slice of pizza. All right. Islam is here. Benadel. Hello. Impeccable. Flawless. Wow, you guys are cranking out some good adjectives here. Mediocre pizza? Yeah? You think this pizza looks mediocre? Mediocre is a good adjective too. Okay. So these are the three different kinds of adjectives. And this is where we're going to start, because the type of adjective will help you determine the type of intensifier you need to use with it. Okay? So I'm going to put you guys to work right now. What are we going to do? We're going to say, are these adjectives gradable, strong, or absolute? So let me jump out of here. I'm going to go here. This is my copy. I'm going to ask my good friend Zach to put the link, please, to the document in the chat, if he would be so kind as to do that. And I'm going to make this nice and big so everybody can see. Because my first question for you guys today, I'm going to give you, I don't know, about 10 or so adjectives. And I want you to decide, is this adjective gradable, strong, or absolute? Okay? So again, yeah, if Zach can put that link in there, there it is. You guys can follow that link, you can open that up, and you'll see this exercise. You can make a copy so that you can write on your own document, or you can just look at the screen here, because I'm going to keep the whole exercise on the screen for you to see. So the question is, are these adjectives gradable, strong, or absolute? So the word friendly, gradable, strong, or absolute? I'm going to say for friendly, that is gradable, right? It's gradable because someone can be really friendly, extremely friendly, or someone can be kind of friendly. Is he friendly? Yeah, he's kind of friendly. He's okay. Yeah, he's all right. Right? So that makes it gradable. So if you guys can put your answers in the chat, and this is, do you know, has the best method already in there. If you put the adjective, and then next to it you can put a G, an S, or an A for absolute. Okay, so friendly is gradable. All right? Zara is saying she doesn't understand the difference between strong and absolute. Yeah, the difference is really with absolute, Zara, it's more than strong, okay? Because it can only be if something's perfect, it is either perfect or it isn't, but it cannot be very perfect, okay? And I just got that question in from Zara. All right, now, if you're a little unclear about that, Zara, don't worry about it. Look through these, and we're going to go through them together. And as we discuss it, it will hopefully become clearer to you. Okay? All right, so try it out. Take a couple minutes. I'm going to pop off the screen. I'll put the music on for you guys to enjoy. All right? And I'll be back. Put your answers in the chat, and then we'll go over it together. Go for it. All right, lots of stuff coming in the chat. This is fantastic. So many answers and so much to discuss. Okay, so gradable, strong, or absolute. Now, for some of you still unclear about the difference between strong and absolute, let's go through these, and hopefully we'll make it a little bit clearer for you. Okay, so I'm going to go down here just so I can highlight effectively here. Yeah. Or maybe, yeah, I'll just make them, I'll underline them or something, okay? So friendly, we said, was gradable, right? I'll just make that blue. Gradable because someone can be really friendly or a little friendly, so it can go up or down, okay? Now furious, as Ravi said there, and Donnie, okay, yeah, so Donnie D and Ravi have two different answers. I would say that furious, I would consider strong, okay? Now again, the difference between strong and absolute, I would say that a strong adjective means that there is another synonym or a gradable word that it is similar in meaning but just a little bit weaker, okay? So furious is a strong version of angry, right? So angry is gradable. Furious means very angry, so it's strong, okay? Now, C is an example of, I would say, absolute, okay? Because something is essential or it isn't. It cannot be really essential. It can't be very essential. And there's not really a weaker word for essential, right? You can't go down from essential, right? Important, you might say, but important and essential are not exactly the same thing, okay? Essential means you need it. So if you need it, I would say it's absolute, okay? Now D, I think most of you got this one too. Now D is a good example of an absolute adjective because you cannot be a little dead, right? Except for maybe a zombie or something like that, right? So someone say, Ravi's saying, what's the absolute alternative to furious? Now I don't think there really is an absolute version for that, and that's what I mean. With these absolute adjectives, there's not really other strong or gradable versions of these words, right? For example, dead. You can't come up with a weaker word for dead, right? You're either almost dead or you're dead, but you can't be a little dead or very dead or something like that, right? Okay, so that's where absolute comes in. As I said, again, with the exception of things like vampires, zombies, which are maybe a little dead. Okay. So, E, surprised. What do you guys think about surprised? Now, let me see some answers here. Yeah. Now, some people think it's strong, but it's not exactly strong in itself. The word surprised is not necessarily strong. Surprised is gradable because, again, you can be really surprised or you can be, I was a little surprised, right? I was a little surprised when you jumped out from behind that table or whatever happens. Okay? Good. What about F? Impossible. Impossible. Who gives me impossible here? Negrenda thinks it's strong. Salima says it's absolute, and I would say I agree with that one. Impossible is absolute because something is either impossible or it is not, but it cannot be a little bit impossible and it cannot be very impossible. Okay? Just a few more, and then I'm going to kind of show you why we're talking about this. Okay? Now, ridiculous. What does do you know says? Do you know says it's strong, and that is absolutely right. Ridiculous is strong because ridiculous is a strong version of silly, right? Something can be silly, something can be really silly, and that thing that's really silly means it would be ridiculous. Okay? Good. What about important? What do we got for H? Yeah, some people say, yeah, right. You guys got it. You're saying important is gradable, and it's true. Now, again, you see the word important, and you might think it's strong, but again, something can be a little important, not really important, okay? Hypothetical. Some are saying gradable for hypothetical. Not gradable. Some thinks it's strong. Not strong, I would say hypothetical, again, is absolute. Because hypothetical means it's not real, it's just an idea, right? So something is either hypothetical or it isn't. It can't be in between, okay? Two more. Terrified. All right. Okay, so terrified is strong. You guys are right. Oops. Because terrified means very scared, and popular is gradable, okay? Because something can be extremely popular, or something can be kind of popular, a little popular. All right. Good, guys. All right. Yeah, you're saying hypothetical is based on theory, right? So it's either hypothetical or it isn't. Okay, good stuff, guys. Now, if you have some questions about that, put them in the chat, and we'll come back to it. If you're still a little bit confused about the difference, ask a question. Now, really, with strong and absolute, just remember that the more important thing is not necessarily telling the difference between strong and absolute, but telling the difference between gradable and non-gradable adjectives, because that will determine the intensifiers or the adverbs you use with these adjectives, okay? So if you have questions about these, or if you're extremely angry about any of these answers, put the questions in the chat, okay? And we'll come back to it. But for now, let's get back into my presentation, because I believe before we continue, before we go on, it's Honey Calorie, you're putting imperative in the chat. Imperative, I'm not sure if you're, as an example, but imperative would be an absolute adjective for sure. Okay, so it's time once again for the mistake of the week. The mistake of the week. All right, so let me put it up here. All right, I'm going to put a sentence on the screen, and I want you to see if you can see what's wrong with this sentence. Okay, look at the sentence and find me a mistake. Okay, now I'm going to pop off. I'm going to put the music on. I'll go away for about 10, 15 seconds, and whoever gets the mistake first is the fastest person on the internet at this particular time. Okay, so here's the sentence. See if you can find me the mistake. Okay, there we go. I'm popping off. Find the mistake in this sentence. Go for it. All right. Wow, you guys are fast. I guess, yeah, I've got to get up earlier in the morning to pull one over on you guys. Good stuff. So, yeah, answers still coming in. Good, 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 good. And most of you are seeing this mistake. Of course, it connects to what we're talking about today. Now, Swati Bora, you were in there. You were real close to being the first. You're absolutely right. Do you know came in just before you. Donnie D coming in third. Honey after that. Lots of everybody got it. And of course, the problem with this sentence, and it's not a huge problem, but it is a little bit awkward. It's a good example of how sometimes people who use English as a second language or third language or however many languages you speak sometimes use an awkward combination of words. Now you're right that in this case the problem is the word very, right? You cannot say he was very brilliant. Now why not? What's the problem with that? Well, the problem is the word very cannot be used to modify brilliant, because brilliant is a strong adjective. It is a non-gradable adjective, and you cannot use the adverb very with strong or absolute adjectives. Okay? So that is why. So instead, you would say something like, he was absolutely brilliant. As an example, you don't have to use this adverb, but this is one thing you can do instead of very. Or some of you are saying just take out very and just say he was brilliant and would one day become very successful. But you can't say very with brilliant, okay? Now this is what I want to talk about for a couple more minutes here, is that, like, why exactly is this a mistake? So let's look at this chart here. These 6 intensifiers, so, really, very, super, rather, and quite. How about absolutely correct? Donnie D, you are absolutely correct. Absolutely. Because, that's a good one. Donnie D is saying absolutely and correct. Now that works perfectly because correct is an absolute adjective, right? You can either be correct or not, right? There's no weak or strong version of being correct. You can't be really correct or very correct, right? Luciano, showing up. Hey, how are you? Welcome. All right, so he's right, absolutely correct. Donnie D, you are absolutely correct. Now in this case, these 6, or in this chart, these 6 intensifiers are used with gradable adjectives, right? So we said before, for example, tired is a gradable adjective. You can be really tired or very tired, okay? Now, here you're saying so tired, really tired, very tired, super tired, because tired is gradable, yeah? Now, this chart with these 6 intensifiers are examples of intensifiers you use with non-gradable adjectives. Totally, completely, absolutely, exceptionally, purely, and utterly. Rose is saying, what's the difference between absolutely and extremely? Well, I would say absolutely means 100%. Absolutely is similar to completely or purely, Rosa. Okay, so extremely just means very, right? And that's the difference, I would say. Extremely is closer to very, and absolutely is closer to completely or totally. Yeah? Extraordinarily brilliant, Everton. Good one. Nice. Okay. Good. So these are intensifiers you use with non-gradable adjectives. So if you use these with a word like tired before, it would sound very strange. If you said, I was completely tired, so I didn't go to school, doesn't work, right? But why doesn't it work? Now this is an important word for you guys. When you get up in the levels of a language, you have to talk about this magic word here, which is collocation, okay? Now I'll probably put together an entire class based on this word at some point, right? Because collocations are really important, okay? Very important. But not absolutely important, right? That doesn't work, all right? So collocations are words that we commonly use together in a language, right? We have certain expressions that are kind of like fixed expressions, 2-word or 3-word combinations that we use together, that if you change one of those words a little bit, it just sounds weird, it sounds strange. Some words go together in English, and some of them don't. And it's not based on really a logical reason that we can explain to you. It's just, this is how these words are used, and it sounds weird if you mix them up. So if you say absolutely tired, that sounds strange, right? And if you say, as we said, very correct, that sounds strange. And that's all about this word, collocation, right? So let me give you some examples of collocation. Brand new, that's a collocation, right? We use that word brand with the word new, but we don't use brand to really intensify other words quite so much. Fast food, not quick food, exactly. Fast food is a collocation. Good. Swade is saying that the Oxford Collocation Dictionary is helpful. Yeah, right. Good. Now, Swati, you're giving me kind of, examples of prepositions going together with verbs. Those are collocations too. And we can have, I could teach an entire course just on collocations. Collocations are hard because it's really the only way to really learn them is by using the language and seeing the language, reading and listening to the language, right, to see how it's used. So brand new is a collocation. Absolutely perfect is a collocation. These two words go together, right? Now some collocations are strong and some are weaker, but this is a collocation. These two words work together, okay? And this one, staggeringly expensive, right? Staggeringly means really surprising, right? It's shockingly expensive. And these are collocations. Now you can, as I said, we could talk forever about verb noun collocations, adjective noun collocations, preposition collocations, and we'll do more of that in other classes, but it's important to know when it comes to intensifiers that, you have to consider that some words go together and some words don't. Staggeringly beautiful. What did I say that? Staggeringly beautiful, maybe. Maybe, yeah, quite brilliant, that works out. Yeah, good. Okay, now I want to get you guys to use some intensifiers and kind of put intensifiers together with adjectives to form these collocations, okay? So let's go back into, let's go back into the document, okay? Let's go back into the exercise. All right, now in this one, I want you to go down to part 2. Okay, now in this one, I might have to go back a little bit. Whoops, go the other way. Make it as big as I can. There we go. All right, so collocations are hard to just to figure out. All right, so I'm being, I mean, Ilias, are you experimenting there with new words? Yeah. Staggeringly, yeah, it is a hard word. Yeah, that's good. All right, now I'm going to be nice to you guys. I've given you the intensifier. If you look at these sentences, the intensifiers have been put into bold. Okay, substantially, abundantly, genuinely, bitterly. These are all words that intensify the feeling of the adjective. All right. Now what you have to do is take an adjective here and you have to put it in the right spot here, okay? Now you'll notice that there are 8 sentences and there are 10 adjectives, just to make it a little bit more challenging, right? And you guys are already ahead of me here. This is good. So let's do the first one together. It says, though the 2 scientists took substantially, then you're missing an adjective here, approaches, their research had very similar findings. Now for this exercise, really, don't worry about the intensifier at all. Just find an adjective that makes sense with the rest of the sentence, and you will almost accidentally create a collocation. All right, now if you look at this sentence, and do you know is ahead of me here, you guys are already into it, I would say different works here. Oops, there, okay? So say, though the 2 scientists took substantially different approaches, right? Substantially different, meaning very different, but substantially different is a collocation. Okay? Take a few minutes, see if you can do the other 7 sentences, and then we'll go over it together. And basically, by, as I said, by putting these adjectives in there, you're also creating a 2-word collocation. All right? Now I'm going to pop out, put your answers in the chat, and then we'll go over it together, guys, okay? Good luck. And if you're stuck or scared or extremely confused, put a question in the chat. All right? I'm out of here. All right. Good stuff, guys. You're just cranking out answers into the chat. This is great. All right, really good. Yeah, and a couple of the options are kind of tricky, but let's go over it together here. This is good. So A did it for you. We said substantially different, meaning two things that are very different, extremely different. Substantially is just another option that you can use other than very. Now B, some people I think said obvious. Now I don't think I would say abundantly obvious. Now I think going up here near the top, I think I saw the Donnie D. Did Donnie D get it? Yeah, Donnie D got it with abundantly clear, right? We said, I thought I made it abundantly clear that I didn't want to see you again. I guess I don't know where I come up with these sentences, but not the nicest thing to say to somebody unless they did something very bad to you. But if you don't want to see somebody again, you have to make it abundantly clear to them that you don't want to see them again, or they'll just, I guess they'll just keep coming back until you make it abundantly clear, all right? So abundantly clear is your collocation there with the intensifier, abundantly, and your gradable adjective. All right, so what about C? Jake was genuinely, Navjot Singh says genuinely surprised. I would say that too, yeah. He was genuinely surprised, meaning, and that's a good collocation because, you know, sometimes people will fake surprise, right? They will pretend to be surprised. But Jake seemed genuinely surprised when he opened the door and saw the cake. Another good collocation with genuinely would be something like moved, meaning to feel emotion, right? You give someone a present and it affects them emotionally in a good way. You can say that person was genuinely moved or genuinely touched by a gift or something like that. This is good. Okay, now D. Another good collocation to know. Yeah, Suede got it. Ravi got it. And that is D. Not surprisingly, fans of the losing team were bitterly disappointed by something. To be bitterly disappointed. To be bitter means to be really angry, to resent something, right? So it's a very strong disappointment to be bitterly disappointed. And in the world of sports, obviously there is a lot of bitter disappointment, whether you're talking about soccer or hockey or any sport in between. There's a lot of intense emotions in sport. All right. What about E? Yeah, no, okay, this is a good one because a couple people, I think, put the word obvious here. Now, and that would be fine if you said, do you mind if I ask you an obvious question? An obvious question is good, but obvious doesn't collocate with the word purely, right? Now, if you think about purely, it sounds like absolutely, it sounds like completely, right? I think I would put it with an absolute adjective like hypothetical. Something is purely hypothetical, totally, completely not real. We're just talking about something if a situation is purely hypothetical. Yeah, you guys got it. Good, Zainab got it too. Nice, all right. A couple more here. F, now this is an important one. The students were, how did the students feel about everything that Shaun does for them? Samir got it, Luciano got it. Yeah, right. Students, of course you were. You were immensely grateful. All right, let me get that off the screen here. Steve Lynn's asking a question. Quick question, not connected to today's topic though. In E, is it okay to say, do you mind if I asked? No, that's a fine question. I mean, it kind of relates to what we're doing here, Steve. So you're saying, do you mind if I asked? Do you mind? I would say if you're putting an ED here, Steve, I would put a would here. Would you mind if I asked you? Because now you're turning, that's kind of tricky because now you're turning that into a kind of a second conditional, right? Do you mind if I ask is more of a first or zero conditional kind of situation, right? So that's a good question. If you're putting ED here on ask, I would put a would you mind if I asked this question, all right? Good question. Now, immensely grateful. Navjot is saying obviously grateful. Yeah, obviously grateful is fine too. I'm glad nobody put disappointed here, right? Students were disappointed. Now, yeah, of course, in this case, you can't put disappointed. I wouldn't allow you to put disappointed here because of collocation. You can't be disappointed for something. You can be disappointed in something, or disappointed up here, you say disappointed with, right? You can be disappointed in Shaun, you can be disappointed with Shaun, but you can't be disappointed for, well, yeah, not in this case anyway. Okay? So you have to be grateful. I made sure that you had to be grateful, okay? So two more sentences here with G. Donnie D's in there with superiors. I know I've got a 2. Give somebody else a shout out. Ashish said superior. Yeah, so many people consider Apple products to be vastly superior to their competition. Now we could take that sentence, anybody that was here 2 weeks ago, and we could use that impersonal passive and say Apple products are considered by many to be vastly superior to their competition. Means better, right? Superior is better, and vastly superior together is a good, intense collocation. All right, and the last one, H. Her ticket to London was ridiculously cheap. Ridiculously cheap. It was so cheap, it is ridiculous. Okay, it's really silly how cheap it is. But of course, she had to make 3 connecting flights, which explains it. Okay. Steve Lynn saying, I was immensely disappointed that you did not show up here last week. Yeah, bitterly disappointed, I'm sure. Yeah. But I was deathly ill last week. There's a collocation for you, right? I was deathly ill, so that's why I wasn't here. So don't hold a grudge. All right? Now this is good. Good work. Now the one last thing that I want to say to you guys about these collocations, about these intensifiers, my tip of the day for intensifiers is don't be confused by the intensifier's meaning, okay? Now sometimes if you look at the intensifier itself, you may be confused because of what you think of as the meaning of that word. But remember that the intensifier doesn't have a meaning itself. It's just making the adjective stronger. So let me give you an example of this sentence. 2-day-old pasta is perfectly fine. Okay, I had some for lunch yesterday. I didn't get sick. It's fine. You can eat pasta that was made 2 days before. It's okay. Now in this case, the intensifier perfectly going with the word fine. Don't be confused by the word perfect, thinking that I am not saying in this sentence that 2-day-old pasta is perfect. It's definitely not perfect. It's fine. It's perfectly fine, right? Now in this case, perfectly is just making fine a little bit stronger. It's the intensifier, but it doesn't have the meaning of perfect. This is the confusion that sometimes students have when looking at intensifiers, okay? So 2-day-old pasta is definitely not perfect, but it's perfectly fine, all right? Now let me give you another example. Oh, this guy's not happy. He's not happy with his I don't know he doesn't have 2-day-old pasta. I don't know why he's so mad about it. It looks like a perfectly fine English breakfast there. But he's saying, this food is positively awful, right? Now, if you really think about the word positive, right, you think of it as kind of a good thing, an optimistic thing, right? Something's positive. It means it's good. But positively awful, positively dreadful, these are collocations that work together. But again, don't look at the word positive for meaning. It's just intensifying the word awful, okay? So that's kind of the confusing little thing that I wanted to point out to you guys today, right? All right, so I think, yeah, time is up. Time flies when you're talking about collocations, yeah? And I've had an incredibly wonderful time teaching you guys today, okay? So how about this? If you like a little bit of homework, all right? Write some example sentences. Try to use these 4 collocations in sentences. Indescribably beautiful, incredibly talented, infinitely better, and perfectly relaxed, right? Because really the only way that you're going to get comfortable with any of these collocations or any of these intensifiers is to try to use them, write terrible sentences, right? Make huge mistakes, fix them, learn from them, and get better at it. That's how it works. Okay, so you can. Do you know saying he's positive that the food is awful? Yeah, right. Yeah, so you guys can take these collocations, write me some example sentences, and you can even, you could put them in the comments under this video when it gets published as the video, or you can put it in the Facebook group. Okay. Now that's all the time we have for today. Shaun is an incredibly talented teacher. That sentence, Rosa, is absolutely perfect. Okay. Shaun is also indescribably beautiful. Right? Okay. No. So here, let me pop out here. Let me go back to this color. Again, I don't know if this is my color, but it'll do for this week. Now, thanks for coming. It's always my pleasure to jump in here and teach you guys for an hour. It's a highlight of the week. I'll be back here same time next week, 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's Vancouver time, 9 in the morning. And I look forward to seeing you then. Now, in between then and now and then, you can keep watching Mark's classes. And take a look at the schedule. We've got lots of other courses that you can take part in and join up with. We've got Neil, we've got Nicole, we've got Joshua. We've got lots of classes that you can choose from. Okay, so keep watching our videos, keep liking the videos, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your family, and join us on Learn English on Facebook. Come to Vancouver to the Canadian College of English Language and study here with us if you like. We'll be waiting for you. Okay, so keep practicing, keep using your collocations, and we'll see you here next time. Okay, guys? Until then, bye.